technology and make it a little bit easier to digest. I'm Auren. I'm the on-site technician here, as well as one-on-one training. So if you have any questions, you're always welcome to leave a comment down below and we'd be happy to get to them.
All right. My name is Jay. I'm the owner of CompuMatter. Been doing this for 20 years. Been here since the days of DOS. Web technology, server technology, fixing computers, all that stuff. And we enjoy being a small-town computer store. Love what I do.
Yes, and I'm Douglas down here. I'm the manager. Again, I've been here working for 20 years. Started off watering the plants and taking the dog for a walk, and now all the way up to running the front of the house and enjoy the Anacortes community and helping people with these problems.
Yep. Yep.
So what do you want to start it off with?
All right. What's first on the list?
We should get the camera switcher out.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and check audio at the same time. So all these things. You know, there's a lot of garbage out there as far as scams and data mining software, so I figured a good start would be how to avoid a bunch of that garbage.
Yeah.
Sorry about the delay there. We're looking at our feeds to make sure that the audio and the video is coming across well. If anybody can hear us or see us and want to confirm that, feel free.
And also on the chat, if anybody has any questions or has a computer problem, go ahead and feel free to leave a comment, and we'll gladly take that on as a topic and see what we can do.
Yeah, we might be talking about Windows, or, you know, or Apple or Linux or whatever, but it doesn't have to be what we're talking about. Feel free to jump in there with whatever you may have.
iOS, Apple phones, Android. We have, you know, knowledge in a lot of different fields. So if you have a question, we'll be able to take.
And one last thing I wanted to mention is people are viewing this on our YouTube channel primarily, Facebook secondarily. So either of those platforms could be chatting, and we can respond to either one at the same time.
Right, so if you hear us replying to somebody and you don't see it in the comment section, that would be why.
Yeah, that's true. I'd say you taught me one about Google last weekend, so if you want to go on that one, that was a really useful one for me. I'll be using that moving forward.
Yeah, so this is a tip for anybody that uses Gmail or the Google email. This is really handy. I've been using it actually quite often now that I'm aware of it. So whenever I sign up with a service, it could be anything. Maybe you go to a new place and they say, would you like a rewards card? Put in your email. You sign up with Starbucks, and then suddenly you're getting flooded with spam emails, just as an example. Something you can do with Google is when you're giving out your email address to someone, you can actually add a plus symbol kind of between your email address and the @ symbol of your Gmail address, and then type in whatever you'd like as an indicator of whatever service you've signed up for, so you can track who has been giving out your email address to other companies. So for example, my email address is Auren, and then say if it was @gmail.com, I would put it in between Auren and the @ symbol. I'd put in a plus sign and then Starbucks, and then you'd be able to see whenever they send you an email what it's coming through
as. So you can hit the plus button and then type in something after the plus, or just plus @gmail.com?
So you type plus on your keyboard, and then you type in whatever you want. That would indicate the company you're signing up for, so that you'd know
which one. Okay, so it's not just the plus. I thought it was just adding the plus. You can add plus and then a label.
Yes.
And then
so just adding the plus doesn't really do anything.
Well, it would show up on the email. The plus would be there, but I didn't know you entered in a label afterwards.
Right.
So that's even more important.
Is this something that you would be well to show them on the screen, or no?
I mean, I think I'd be able to on your Gmail, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, what the hell? Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, I wouldn't open up your Gmail on live, but
yeah,
I would.
I don't know.
Well, you can pull it off over there.
Yeah, you got this here.
Yeah, well, that's not a browser.
No, but it's just to show the format of how you would write it.
Yeah, so we'll pretend that this is my email here.
Okay, so I'll bring it
probably
down
zoom it in a little.
Yeah.
Hey, a lot even, yeah.
Hopefully that'll help.
Okay, and let's put on.
And then, yep, okay. So say this or something similar with your email address with Gmail here. If I wanted to sign up to a service online,
you know, or a Walgreens member pass or something like that, whatever the different places that you go have things you can sign up for.
So say, for example, Walmart, this is what I'd put in here. And then anytime you get an email now from Walmart's promotional content, you will see that the email address that they're sending to still has this plus sign. But what also this does for you is if you get emails from other companies and it also has that plus sign in the Walmart, you'll know who sold your data.
You'll know which company sold your email address off to whatever, sales rep company. So when you start getting a bunch of garbage, you'll know who leaked that information.
So I have to ask a question because I have to ask forgiveness. I might have been sleepwalking through the first couple of minute or so of what you were saying. Are you saying that if I put in Auren plus Walmart at Gmail, that I will still get the email at auren@gmail.com?
You will.
So this is a feature
built in
by Gmail. This is huge. This is huge.
It is.
That will allow you to be, I've got a brother Bill, I forget what your email address is, Bill, but whatever you normally use,
Let's not shout out people's email address. Let's do
yeah,
that.
that's true. Even if I could remember it, I probably shouldn't put it out there. But then put a plus sign before the @ symbol, and then the name of whatever
you're signing
company
up
that
for.
you're giving your email to, and you can find out if they're scoundrels.
I wish I knew that because I did have one where I made my own new email address because spam was becoming such a problem, just to attach my financial stuff to, so I didn't have to look at all that other crap. And I signed up for one thing through Credit Karma, and they were connected to some other bank for this feature, and my email immediately started hitting spam within 10 minutes of me signing up for that program. So I knew that they sold my email address, and I called them, and whoosh, it made sure they knew that this is pretty messed up.
Right.
But because they're associated with some other bank for that feature, they weren't aware of it. So I was bringing it to their attention, and hopefully other people did as well, so they could get that figured out. But if I had this trick, I would have been able to prove it.
Yeah.
And then I could send them an email showing them that I made a private label for you, and you sold it to somebody, because I'm getting a bunch of spam now, and I could see where it's coming from.
Yeah, no, that would be huge.
Well, I wonder if the Gmail, I wonder if the business environment does the same thing. Like
Probably, I would imagine.
And the different email companies?
Yeah, our CompuMatter.com. I wonder if, because it's hosted by Google, I wonder if that works the same way. It may.
And a part of working with technology is figuring out a new thing every day. It never ends. It never ends.
I've talked about this in one other podcast. We host our own email here at the store, and one time along those lines, I created an email address called bozo@compumatter.com, and I gave it to the company I was dealing with. It was just an off-the-fly bogus email just to see where did that end up. And sure enough, I started getting emails, hello, bozo, and
automated
and
messages referring to you as the
start communicating to me as though they knew my first name, and I realized, okay, Douglas, stop the barking.
Sorry about that.
That dog's blowing our cover.
So on the way to avoid things, this one is obviously, you're not going to avoid the spam, but you will at least be able to pinpoint where the leak was. You'll be able to block things accordingly from there. Or I don't know, maybe they have a feature where you can just stop any emails from coming into that plus.
I'm wondering, because they do have a filter option. I haven't done any testing on it, so I don't know for sure.
You could make a filter that just has that email address in it and say, take everything from that.
Oh, yeah.
That can definitely
talk about that. Gmail has the ability to filter if you're not using that, where you can say all emails. A lot of email programs have this feature.
A lot of them have
I use Thunderbird. It has that feature. Anything containing this in the subject or this in the body or from that person, which in this case, Auren at Walmart, whatever, and then tell it to go to this folder. You create a folder and it just dumps into that folder.
Or you can say action, move to trash. And I think Microsoft calls it rules.
Yep.
It's either filters or rules most of the time for most of the emails.
Got it.
But that's one way to stay on top of where your information's going and sort of give you an idea of that sort of stuff is happening all the time. Specifically with smaller companies, but like I said, Credit Karma is a pretty big business for them to have had that type of leak.
Yeah.
And aside from that, I did want to talk last week on autofill information. If you have autofill information, specifically the most intense example would be credit card autofill information. On fraudulent websites where it looks like it's legit, they'll have an area for you to autofill your name, your first and last name. And some of these websites will have invisible little areas to type in credit card information, your phone number, your address, and you can't see any of that. You just click on first and last name, click autofill, and it fills in all that information. And that's a little bit more serious of a leak. So when on websites that you don't fully 100% trust, don't do the autofill on simple information. Just fill out the information you want them to have and nothing more.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that
Yeah.
was a thing. That's actually
And
huge.
that's where I think a lot of the people who get money pulled out of a card that they have no idea, because it could be, in one of the instances, it was a card they said they never use. And that could be an example of autofill, snatching that information at a time you didn't have any association with your card or any other information.
Right.
And your phone number getting sold off as well.
You know, this reminds me of a quick funny story, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Back in the 90s, when the internet was first coming around, I was an early adopter of e-commerce, which every now and then I wonder why I didn't get rich, because I was like there at the very beginning of all this, and I just unfortunately didn't harness some of it. But there was Miva Merchant. For those that have been around long enough, they'll recognize the term Miva Merchant. That was the company that was one of the first credit card processing companies, and I adopted it, and I was selling some software online, and that had been going on for a while, and I got a call from a client one day saying, I just Googled my name, and up in front of me comes my credit card number, date, expiration date, and everything else. A return from a Google search, or actually back then it wasn't a Google search. I take that back. It would have been a Netscape search or some
AOL search.
But that's what was returned to him, and so I investigated, and sure enough, Miva had been saving all of the credit card log. Every time I processed a deal, and they were entering it in the form. The form was saving it as a text file somewhere, and it was searchable by the robots, and all my customers' credit card numbers and information was exposed.
so
this is back in the
horrifying.
90s. This was cowboy time, you know.
Before they knew all the interconnectedness of things.
So
even a big company at the time could fall for
yeah,
that sort of
I was
thing.
proactive, get on it and all that, but yeah.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah. Funny for me to look back on, but not so funny
at the time.
No, horrifying. But that is the landscape that
true
we're
story,
in.
though. True story.
And you know, you're working with a company. You wouldn't suppose that credit card information is being saved in any sort of format that could be accessed from the outside world. And if I'm not mistaken, that's probably before encryption was just a everyday run-of-the-mill process for these companies.
Right.
Yeah.
And encryption, I know that's a big one for people to get confusion on. Essentially, it's as simple as all of your code is ones and zeros, and then you put in the encryption code, which is essentially change every third zero into something, or change every one or every so many ones into another thing, so that you just see it as a jarbled mess of code unless you know the encryption key. And the encryption key put into that software or into that encryption can unlock your data and make it visible again. But that allows you to hide it when you're sending it somewhere, or hide it when you store it somewhere.
Yeah.
So that search engines can't just get that information of your credit card information and phone number and everything else.
With encryption, that story I just told you, if there was no such thing as encryption back then, at least not with websites.
So there was in the military, for sure.
That would have been saved the same way, maybe, but it would have all been a jumbled mess. Nobody could have understood it.
Right.
And then the software should then decrypt it and make it visible, but that was a little early in the game.
Yeah, and encryption is the highest amount of security you can get. Nobody's going to be able to break your encryption. It's impossible.
Till quantum computers.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess it is.
Whenever they
it
arrive.
is impossible, so far as I know, at the moment.
Right.
Is how I would say that.
Right.
So do you have any ways that you could avoid information being leaked, or help a customer to be able to avoid something like that?
Yeah, I mean, just being cautious is a big one, and always looking at the URL of the website you're visiting whenever you're filling things out. Another big one is if you get emails commonly There's a lot of spam and garbage out there, so sometimes people will get emails from companies they trust that aren't actually those companies telling you to
Look
sign
for
in or
misspelling and those.
yeah.
sorts of things as
So
well.
just be really cautious if you can. And what I always do when it comes to getting an email about a warning, for example, maybe a bank warning or PayPal or things like that, I just close my email and I go directly to the page itself. PayPal, make sure I log into the right site. That way I'm not clicking on any links and potentially giving my information up to
And
someone.
I've saved a lot of customers from that. And that was a big thing with Facebook right at the beginning of when Facebook was becoming really popular, is people getting emails saying there's something wrong with your account. Click this link and sign in so we can resolve it. And the link takes you to a fake Facebook page. You put in your information, and then before you know it, you have a person sending out messages to all your close friends and relatives asking for money, saying that, you know, there's some health thing going on. And a lot of people got their accounts hacked that way.
Yeah.
Very common. I mean, the most common thing there is when you get your email, you click on a link and it takes you to the site that looks like the site that you're supposed to be at, the Facebook shipper, the bank, whatever it is, and Walmart, could be whatever account you have, and then you log in with your credentials, and by virtue of doing that, you've actually handed those credentials to that false site. So you got to be watchful of that. Emails, there is a way to know where you're going. If you hover over the link in your email and look in the lower left corner of that email,
That'll be a good one to show people.
you'll be able to see. And Douglas is going to try to get something going on another tab here that we can demonstrate, because it's actually any link. It's not just emails, is it?
Yeah, right.
So if you bring that over there,
Link. I was just going to do a Google.
we're doing something in the background to try and highlight this a little bit better.
Okay.
Any one of those links will do the same thing.
Let's make it
Can
a
we
small
see the
window.
status bar? Yeah, there
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
down there in the bottom corner.
So, let me
let's
get
go
rid
ahead
of
and-
us.
How do I do that? Right here?
No,
That's perfect.
Yeah, that
Oh,
works.
what did you do?
Yeah, that one makes us in the corner.
Okay, beautiful. You can still see our smiling faces. Okay.
All right.
Can you Control Plus?
Yeah, I can do that.
I don't know if that'll change the status bar. No, it doesn't.
Control plus is zoom.
Yeah, I know. I wanted them to zoom in, but
Oh, she was just telling
Telling
people.
them.
Yeah.
oh,
Plus,
What are they talking about? New language.
like I knew that.
We've been going.
Yeah, I'm not trying to tell you.
But if you do click, hold Control and hit the plus bar, as you can see, everything on the website.
Yeah,
is zooming in,
that's
so-
another thing along the way.
Yeah.
For those of you that are blind or getting there, Control Plus, you can make things as big as you want while you're surfing
And
the
I
web.
can't zoom in on it, but down
and
here in
Control
this,
Minus will go back the other way.
and I can't zoom in on it, but down here in the bottom left-hand corner, when I hover over
No,
the
that-
link, it tells you what website you are going to be going to.
There, look
Yep.
closely. A little light blue link showing up in the lower left corner. You see that?
Down in this area.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that it says HTTPS, and that's usually a sign that it is more safe than some of the websites that don't have that.
Hey,
But
HTTP.
but aside from that, look
but-
out for misspelling is a big one.
But what I want to make sure they get here is if the writing that you're seeing at the top says CompuMatter.com, reviews, and all that stuff, it looks legit, right? This could be saying Microsoft. Let's just take another one. This could be saying Microsoft
Support.
support. Okay,
That'll be interesting.
This will be a better one.
Hopefully they're the first
Okay.
ones there.
But,
Yeah, okay.
you know, they do show up, right? Microsoft does show up. Well, let's get this big
Go to the 7th page of search for Microsoft.
I can't
Yeah.
see well enough what's going on here. Well, you know what? They're getting better at this, by George.
Oh, there's Ask Tech
All right.
Support. That is a sponsor.
So here's a sponsored one, right? It says Microsoft support, clear as a bell, and there'll be other instances of this where it's more obvious. But you think a lot of people will think by clicking on that, that's what they're going to get. But if you look in the lower left-hand corner, I'm going to make that screen size smaller again.
Yeah, point.
If you look in the lower left corner where that blue ink is, you can see it says asktech.support. It doesn't say Microsoft.com. And the same thing will happen in an email. If it doesn't say the same name that you think it should say, then you know it's some kind of an obfuscation and you're not going to get to Microsoft support. Oh, my server is blocking the site anyway, so I've instituted some stuff
Some
recently
security features.
that blocks certain advertisements and whatnot.
All right.
All right.
We got a message from someone.
Oh, we got a message. Hi there, Fix and Chill again.
Hey,
How's it
welcome
going?
back.
And hi guys, unfortunately I am at the same time
on a Scrum Sprint review. Boy, people come up with some stuff that I don't know what the heck we're talking about.
I don't know what you guys are saying, but I'm watching. All right, we'll just make hand motions.
Yeah,
instead.
yeah. Well, so now, what? Anybody here know how to do that? What is
Sign
hand
language?
talk? Sign language?
I don't
No.
have sign language,
Hand talk. That's a
unfortunately.
different thing. Yeah,
That's just what we do over time.
yeah.
But another one that's really easy to do is look who the sender is. A lot of the times you can just see, if the email is Microsoft support for whatever reason, you're getting an email from an account or something like that, and it's bozo@gmail.com is who's sending it to you, you can most likely just assume that it's probably not real.
Right.
Just whatever the email address is. Usually it's a bunch of numbers and letters at gmail.com. No matter
Right.
who it is, no matter what company's sending it to you, they're most likely going to have a more professional email than that.
By the way, I see Fix and Chill is back for a second visit. Welcome to the hood, Fix and Chill.
And this actually leads me into the extensions, browser extensions. This goes for the Apple environment and for the Windows environment, as well as the Linux environment. And extensions can be a cause for leaked information. Malware-style extensions can be installed in your browser and leak information from your autofill or from other things you're entering on other websites. So it doesn't even have to be something you have saved in your computer. If you have that fraudulent extension open and you're on a website putting in social security number and important data, extensions have access to things if they're fraudulent extensions. And different browsers have different ways to check on those things. If you go to settings in any of the browsers, you should be able to locate the extensions and remove any of them. I would recommend removing any of the ones that you don't recognize.
Policing the extensions periodically
Yeah.
is a good idea.
It's not an all-the-time thing, and I don't want to create a bunch of paranoia, but it is a good idea to take a look at that and get familiar with it, because that is a way that your stuff can get leaked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the most common ones I see that tend to be garbage are like maps, extensions,
Coupons.
coupons.
Yeah, coupons and maps. I've seen
Coupons
tons of those.
are it's a scam. You just shouldn't even have it there, period.
Well, there is
Yeah.
some legitimate ones out there.
Which one do you use?
I don't use any of them, so that is a fair point. That is a fair point.
Are you out there getting them bargains?
No, but there. I think there was one called Honey that I did. I was interested.
Oh no,
in
that's
a
got
while.
that's no, that's
I
way
think
up
that's
there.
gotten
Yeah, that one's gotten corrupted.
Ooh,
Bad.
No. Yeah.
That was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
But I figured
Yeah.
I'd
I'll
mention
cut
it.
you some. You were an early adopter. I'll cut you
I
some
never
slack.
used it.
Oh, okay.
I was just saying it looked like a good
Right,
idea.
no, I
because
know.
The idea
Sure.
was it would search the internet and find you any other website selling that thing
Right.
for less.
Right. Yeah.
But it's easy to get scammed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, just be
I guess
careful.
I didn't end up using it, so that's a sign itself. And then there's duping websites nowadays where you can go type in an address to shopping for something, and it'll just give you the websites of anybody who's selling that item. And so
Interesting.
you can scan for deals without installing anything on your machine.
That's better.
I don't trust any of them.
Well, it's AI scans the picture of the thing that they're selling and scans the internet to see if anybody has that item up for sale, and then gives you the links so that
Okay.
you can decide,
Maybe,
whichever one's
maybe,
good.
maybe legit.
Well, some of those websites might be scams.
Yeah, you have to be
That's the
careful
flip
of
side.
that.
You still got to decide where you're going to put your credit card information to purchase something, but it'll give you all the websites that are selling that item,
Yeah.
whether it's real or not.
Yeah. Well, I guess I got to add another one on the extensions that I most commonly see that are garbage. There's a lot that say that they are secure search extensions and things like that that actually end up redirecting your browser to a not secure search.
Yeah, and then there's also ones that they're not even total fraud scam style. They're just directing you to websites that are affiliated with them. So you type in a pair of blue jeans and you get only people that are connected to that company who are selling jeans that you're able to see. So it curates your entire internet perception without you knowing.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Something just occurred to me. Do you feel that all the users that are using the search browser or just a search engine, DuckDuckGo, lean towards conspiracy theories?
Oh, because they're already, using something that gets less of their data and keeps more privacy?
I think that I've noticed a parallel there.
Well, I would think more so.
Right.
people who are using DuckDuckGo are a higher percentage of conspiracy theorists. So they would be searching for those things. Not that it would curate that, just that by virtue of you having that paranoia and going that route, leads you to asking those types of questions and questioning those types of things more than someone who's just putting everything into Google.
There's an entire demographic there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
To a lesser or greater.
Right.
But, yeah.
By virtue of what DuckDuckGo wants to stand for, I don't think that they're curating. I think that was the goal, was they watched Google and everything that they're doing and said, back up, we'll make our own browser and it'll just scan the internet without a bias and give you whatever.
Somebody told me they sold out, though.
This is the world we live in.
Yeah.
You know, it could happen
no
right now
idea.
while we're talking about it, and it could be a bad thing tomorrow. So it is kind of a complicated thing.
yeah, we promote one thing and then they sell it, and
Well,
soon
you
off
know,
they're
the dollars
scamming
are tempting, right?
Yeah, and Fix and Chill says the email can be compromised too, and that goes on to what we've mentioned in previous videos: is check your recovery information, your security information. If you have a cell phone, turn on two-factor authentication. These are ways that you can get your email under control, because if they have control of that information, the security stuff, or the cell phone number, they can just change your password and get back in.
yeah.
Yeah, to kind of break that down a little bit into layperson terms, let's say you have clicked on the email link and you went to what you thought was where you log in for your email.
Yeah.
And you log into a site that looks like Gmail, but it turns out not to be Gmail, and it just throws an error instead. In that period of time, the bad guys have got your email address and your password. They quickly log in to your email account. Once they receive that, they get a ding, nice little bell on their end that they've got a live one. They grab your credentials, log in, and the very first thing they do is change your two-factor authentication information so that if you've lost a password or any of that kind of stuff, it goes to they have the secondary email address, or they have their phone number plugged in there. And then they change the password to your account, and you play hell getting at it. But let's say you eventually do get into your email, for however that ends up being. The two-factor authentication change, you don't even notice, has been modified, and you're getting your emails as you expect to get your emails, but somebody else has forwarded all your emails to them through another mechanism in the website, and you think you changed that forward and solved it, and yet it goes back again because that two-factor authentication allows them to keep a toehold to control that email account. So you've got to check that.
And I think if you have two factors set up already, it's really hard for them to change it without having access to one of those.
Right, but if you don't and then they implement it.
Yeah, when they implement it and you don't have it set up, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, it's really ugly.
That makes sense.
And ultimately, that one of the things they'll do is they'll copy and forward all your information off to another email address. And if you don't catch that forwarding mechanism, you can remove them from your account and they can continue to get your emails.
Yeah.
Which the real concern here is also on top of if you use the same password for a bunch of accounts and you're using the same email, then a lot of companies have your email and password because you've chose to keep it the same. And that makes it so when you sign into a fraudulent website and you use your email address and your always password, they can log into your email even if it's not faking being that email site. It can just be anything you think you're signing up for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been using the same email address and password now for about 20 years.
It's impossible because they
That's a
require
joke.
so many. Now you have to
I
have
had to add an
four
exclamation
symbols.
point to the last one.
Yeah, two exclamation points
Two.
and a dollar sign.
Yeah, no, it's good to have a unique password for your email in particular, and then for any banking sort of information. Just those ones are probably some of the most important ones to keep separated, because an email, it's kind of like a form of ID to you. So you don't want that getting into the wrong hands.
Password manager, an absolute must, no ifs, ands, or buts. Got to have it.
Yeah, password manager is extremely helpful. A lot of people don't have trust for
Not
sites
even
like
optional.
that.
It's not even optional.
Yeah, well.
Not even optional. They got to have it. It gives you a nice long one. You can. It's in.
Oh, you're talking about that
Like
makes
LastPass,
the
like other
password
ones like
for
it.
you. and
It'll make it
saves
for you. You can pay. It doesn't matter if they get a million different passwords anymore. It's all saved in the software. It's encrypted. It's there when you need it. You've got it on your phone. You've got it on your browser. It eliminates that whole nightmare of what's my password.
Well, and then there's if you don't have proper recovery information set up on that, you could lose all your passwords, and they made them for you, so you have no idea what they are. So definitely the recovery information is important. If you go down that password manager route, make sure you have your recovery codes or keys if they give them to you when you sign it up, or make sure you have the recovery information so that you always have access to your list of passwords.
Yep, yeah, when you first set up a password manager, the recovery keys, if you can print them out, put them in a safe somewhere, that way you have kind of like a backup to those important
Yeah,
passwords.
because the goal is to not get locked out of your accounts. And the password manager will make it a lot easier for you to not have to juggle all of these different passwords. But again, if you lose connection to that, then you're done. You have to start over with passwords. So make sure that you have recovery information or two-factor authentication turned on.
We got
Fix and Chill is up at bat again and trick you to believe you've been hacked. Of course, that's a...
They can spoof your email from their own server. Oh, like making the slightly different email than the one that you have, or?
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. If they have a list of your contacts, or if they had gotten in at some point, they can make an email address that looks almost identical to yours and send it off to your friends and relatives, and you feel like you've been hacked.
Oh yeah,
We've seen
Because
that.
an email's going out to all these people,
That's
but it's
right.
not actually
Yeah.
your email.
Yeah, that can be a nightmare in itself.
Instead of j@CompuMatter.com, it's jays@CompuMatter.com.
Yeah,
they could use that, send it out to everybody, and
potentially,
people would
I don't know
reply
how
to it.
how the technology has gone, but it's possible that he means that they can actually fully spoof it, and that it does look like your email address, and when you hover over it, it's a different email
Oh, okay.
address.
Well, that's where the reply to versus the who it's actually from.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you said the exact same email
Yeah,
address.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I did think that there was an ability to do that, because I have seen
I
something
mean, both
like that
are a
before.
thing.
Yeah.
Off by a character makes them think it's you.
Yeah.
Spoofing where the name appears to be from you, but the reply to is actually different, and you have to look at that. Yeah.
All right, but those are some definite good ones. The multi-factor authentication, they also have abilities to go to an app. Those apps where they change the number every
MFAs.
MFAs. Yeah.
MFAs, yeah.
Multi-factor authentication.
So there's a lot of apps out there that do it. I typically recommend using the one that the company that you're using is recommending. You can use any of them, but Microsoft, I believe, have their own authenticator app, and so do a lot of the other companies.
Yep.
Google has their own.
Yeah, there are like Google has an authenticator app, but authentication type applications are becoming more and more common. And Microsoft has one, Google has one, there are others out there, and then you scan a code and it adds that company into this authentication app, and it becomes a form of two-factor authentication. They'll say, check your authentication app and type in the numbers that show up there, and those numbers in the app change periodically. It's rather complex for the average user, personally.
Yeah.
So and based on my experience in this business, if it's too complex, people aren't going to adopt it, and it's going to fall by the wayside, and that's what I expect will happen there someday. But right now, it can be a thing.
And we've talked about this before. It's security and convenience. The more security that you have, the less convenient it's going to be. So it may be a little bit complicated,
Yes.
but again, you decide how secure you want it, and that's going to come with jumping through more hoops.
Right? If you turn off your computer,
Yeah, nobody getting it.
that's as secure as it gets.
We can secure your computer right now. You just got to shut it off, unplug it from everything,
Yeah.
Right,
put
yeah.
it in a giant metal box like a Faraday cage.
bag, sure, and then haul it to the dump.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And bury it under the dump. Nobody's going to look there. It's the most secure your computer could get. No, but realistically, we're all interacting with this world, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the security for the people who find it important on certain accounts, the authentication app is a much higher level than a lot of the other things. Same with the cell phone, having your cell phone number connected so that only you with access of that cell phone has the opportunity.
Do you mind if we touch on politics for just a little bit here?
Oh, and gun control laws, yeah. Well, right before we go, let's start with religion.
Oh no.
No, let's not do that.
All right, what else we got?
Attachment in emails, don't do it. But you had some advice on opening attachments on emails that
we
you
didn't
don't
touch on
know.
that, okay.
You don't know if it's the actual company, but it seems important enough, and you want to open the email.
Right, so let's put this situation out there. you've got an email, because I have certainly done this, and you look at it and you're about to click on it, and your spider instincts is saying, I recognize whatever that is, that's familiar to me, that could be important, I should open that, but there's I'm just not, what if it's wrong? It's a link to download something, a PDF, what if I'm wrong? And I've just unleashed my worst nightmare, which would be a ransomware virus that encrypts everything on your computer until you pay up. Okay, that's how bad that can get. Is it worth reading a PDF to find that out? No, it's not. So you've got to back up, let your rational mind come to the forefront, and figure out how you're going to open that. Now, I want to open it, I need to open it, but I don't want to open it with a Windows computer. That's for sure. Any doubts? Don't. And for me, I use an iPhone. I have no worries about an iPhone opening anybody's PDF because these viruses are typically made for a Windows computer probably 99.9% of the time, because that's the big market. Everybody's got a Windows computer. It's easier to compromise than the Apple or the Linux or the Android environment, so that's where they make their money. So I go to the Apple phone, I open it up, caution to the wind. Don't even think about it. Open that PDF, see what it says, and not even worry about it. I could open a Linux computer and have done the same thing. How do you handle that same situation?
I would never open it. But aside from that, if I really had that feeling, I'd be on a Linux computer that's not connected to the internet. I would have the file, and I would get it to where I can open it, and then disconnect from the internet, open that file, and then I have no concerns.
You would disconnect from the internet?
Yeah, so you can get the file without opening it, and then disconnect the internet and then open the file.
So I have to ask, do you use DuckDuckGo?
No. But again, like I said,
joking,
I just simply wouldn't open it.
So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty serious.
The first thing that I would do, well, I've never done that because, like I said, I just wouldn't open it. But getting out of the email and going to whatever company that is my first reaction. I would never.
Because unplugging the internet isn't really good enough because it can still infect your computer.
Oh yeah, I should add that I'm booting up to a Linux USB.
But Linux is key.
I'm booting up to a Linux USB.
So you're not worried about anything exploding in a Linux environment because it's inherently safe and the market share is small.
Right, and then after I open that file, I will smash the USB with a hammer. And then, no, I'm just kidding.
It's like, oh my goodness.
Like I said, I've never had to do this, but if this is the safest way you could do it, that would definitely be it.
It's important because you got to remember, there's a ton of people dealing with exactly this situation. So what we do, practically speaking, is important. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my go-to has also been kind of a mix of what both of you have done. So if it's something where I've gotten emails from this company in the past and I can verify and click on it and I know that they're legitimate, say an insurance company, I go to my phone and I go ahead and take a look and make sure it's a PDF file and then open it up, and I've never had any issue doing it like that. Another thing is if I get a warning about something that I should go take a look at and it's got an attachment and I'm not as familiar with it, I will go directly to the website because I've never run into it where they don't have a document section once you log in, or maybe even like a little message notification bubble that I can click on and see what's going on. And if I don't see anything there, then I would have dodged a bullet.
Yeah, she brings up a good point with file extensions. So if there's a big image that says PDF and the file name says this.pdf.zip, then it's actually a zip file and can just be opening a compressed file rather than a PDF itself. So you can kind of see what the file is as well.
And if you're on an iPhone or you're on an Android or you're on a Linux, inherently safer environments, and you open that PDF. Nobody dies.
Yet.
Now, if
we're in this technological world where it's constantly evolving, so that's where I fear a little bit of just the open it on the phone, caution to the wind style, because it can be something.
Anything's possible at some point in time. At this juncture, I'm an older guy.
I would go with safer.
I'm
happy to say
never a problem.
Safer, more secure for sure on the phones rather than on a Windows PC, or even an Apple PC still has the chance to do that. I'd say a lot of the times people are dealing less with that and more with install this software and the software.
Well, I was leading into that. Nobody dies before you hijack my entire next dies. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
As in nobody dies, but what you do after that matters. So if that PDF has a link in it, and you click on the link and you're on your phone, and it takes you to a bogus website, and you sign in with your credentials, you're screwed.
Loops.
You've created, you still, so you've taken my advice and said, oh, I'll open it up on the iPhone, I don't have to worry about it. Next thing you know, somebody else has got your credentials.
Yeah, we can't stop you from entering information in the wrong place.
Right.
We just advise you look out for that and take these sort of lessons to heart.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I haven't fallen for that one, the opening up and looking like the website you think you're on, because I've seen so many of these scams, but it's so easy to copy and paste the Facebook logo or the Microsoft logo and make a picture that looks like their website. So they're all over the internet, and it's easy to fool. The eyes will deceive you.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like we should, with all the encryption discussion, we should touch on BitLocker a little bit.
Yeah.
BitLocker.
Because a lot of people don't even realize they got a Windows computer that they have BitLocker, and then something happens to their computer, maybe a blue screen issue or whatever else, and they bring it down to the shop here, and then we find they have something called BitLocker enabled, which actually encrypts your entire hard drive.
This is for Windows users only.
Yes, Windows users only, although Apple does have
File
encryption as well.
File
So
vault
this does kind of go for that as well.
Okay.
So sometimes people have this set up and they don't even know it. And the problem with that, and especially in Microsoft's case, is sometimes people also don't know what their Microsoft password is. And we have seen a lot of pain with people having a complete lockdown of all of their data on their computer.
I would actually like to at least talk on Microsoft computers, for instance. They're kind of forcing you to make a Microsoft account. I have a video on our YouTube channel about how to get around that. If you're not in S mode and you haven't signed into a Wi-Fi yet, there is a way to put in a command to skip the making a Microsoft account. But for most people, they force you to make a Microsoft account. You don't think you have an option, so you make up some email and you make it happen, and then 10 years later, something happens on your machine and you bring it in and your BitLocker locked out of your machine, and the only way to get the BitLocker encryption code is to sign into that Microsoft account that you didn't ever use. You just made it when you set up your computer. That's a lot of confusion for people.
Yeah.
Does Apple have a similar, the File Vault, does it work the same way?
So
or no?
File Vault is, it's a little bit more intense, but they do give you the option in the settings for being able to reset your password using your Apple ID. If you do not have that checked, I have people who have been locked out of their Macs. It's completely, you have to erase the machine in order to use the machine again. You lose all the data.
And the purpose of existence for File Vault and BitLocker, period, is, if I understand this correctly, it encrypts absolutely everything on your computer.
Correct.
At all times. So literally, when you open it, everything's encrypted, even if it doesn't appear to be. And when you open it, it decrypts it, so it makes it viewable to you as a layer of security. If somebody steals your computer.
Right, so if somebody steals your computer and they physically open it up and you have a hard drive that has all the data on it, if they can take the hard drive out and plug it into another computer, they got nothing. There's nothing readable on that entire hard drive. So the safety and the security, again, it makes it so that, you know, it's a little inconvenient, but at the same time, nobody has access to your
But if I'm working with the CIA or the FBI or whatever
I'm
the
guessing
three-letter agency
they require
is.
you to have an encrypted Linux laptop, is what I would assume. But if they allow you to use Apple and Windows, then I assume
would have it
they
locked
would have
down.
both of those would be encrypted.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And but those guys can afford an IT department to keep track
Yeah,
of all
that's
those
true.
passwords.
That's true. And their whole
In
environment's
fact,
encrypted
before they
as
even
well.
handed it to you, you don't even know what that username and password is. They've got
Yeah,
a
that's probably the top of the line right there.
Right,
Yeah.
Right. So in the absence of that, it's tricky. I personally don't use those types of features because I don't want to deal with those complexities when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on your situation. Again, the more security, the less convenient. So
Right.
do
It
with
depends
that
on what
what
you're
you will.
doing. If I was a Russian spy, I probably would.
And it is 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I think we gotta
So-
open up here soon. I'd say on the BitLocker on the Windows side, if you really do not want that connected, I understand you can go in and turn it off. But ultimately, just make sure you know the Microsoft account information. Have your recovery information for the Microsoft account so you can't get locked out of it, the two-factor authentication. If you want that security, that's what you're going to need. You need to get into that Microsoft account in order to get those recovery keys if anything happens.
Yep.
And on the Mac side, make sure to enable that ability to be able to reset your Mac password using your Apple ID. And again, with the Apple ID, multi-factor authentication and your recovery information
They
in there as well.
require it now. Oh, it's the two-factor with Apple,
Okay.
but I could be
All
wrong.
right. Yeah, I mean, we're getting into that age where
Yeah.
the security is being taken more seriously.
I,
And now we'll all be over here.
oh no,
Nope.
it's
All right.
broken.
Well, off to work.
we
I
do this one?
appreciate you paying
Look at that. How about that
giving
effect
us
right
your
there,
attention
huh?
here for a moment, and have a wonderful rest of the Saturday.
Yeah, we appreciate taking time to watch this, and we sure enjoy it and hope you
Oh
get
my
something
gosh,
out of
yes.
it.
It's Tuesday, so have a happy rest of the Tuesday and Saturday when we get there.
Yeah, we'll be
You know, I was thinking today was Saturday earlier.
Take care.
Bye-bye.